Hey Libra, I'm gonna do a 2023 reading, and the videos I posted already, I kind of went more in depth about some of the, I don't know, seriousness, of the next year, astrology wise. I think I'm just gonna get tired of saying it over and over again, so I'll probably try to kind of like find a way to say it shorter or something. If you really want an in-depth explanation, I think I did a pretty good one on Aquarius, of all the astrology stuff going on. And it may not be as bad next year as 2024. And by bad, I don't want to say like negative. I just want to say it could be some drastic changes that, could be difficult on some people because, not everyone is receptive to change, even though obviously that is a part of life and human nature. But, I did go in more depth of the Pluto entering Aqua for a month next year, about a month. And then it goes back in 2024, stays there for 20 years. And, the last time that happened was hundreds of years ago. So it's not a normal occurrence. You have a lot of people like all over, for years now. And you have those like, fear mongers, trying to get you to go into debt to buy all the gold and stuff because the, crap's going to hit the fan and everything. But, last time it happened, we had the American Revolution, we had a French Revolution and stuff like that. And so it's weird because when Pluto enters Aqua, people are more compelled to do the right thing and to stand up to big powers and want more unique, smaller, like localized power, which is weird because I've always kind of felt like that's how things should be. And like I have Pluto and Aqua in my macros. Pluto's in my ascendant, and then I have an Aquarius stellium. But it's gonna be some strange changes next year. Saturn goes into Pisces. So just, a lot of people are gonna be facing a lot of karmic baggage they've been avoiding. So it's definitely gonna be, things are probably gonna look very, very different. I don't know, maybe by the end of next year. Within a few years, we'll probably have a lot of really drastic changes as a collective, Let's see. I don't think there's any, I didn't want to go into all that too much because it got exhausting. I think I did like 5 signs and I was trying to go through it all and, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm pulling like 3 cards for each 3 months of the year. So it's 12 in total. One for work, finance, second one for like personal, kind of like, what you might be dealing with internally or what's affecting you in some way, really personal. And then the third one is kind of more related to love. And I know I have been telling people too, if you see a card that sounds negative or interpret really negative, if you go to biddytarot.com, she has a way of interpreting cards to always teach you a really valuable lesson. It doesn't sound as negative when you see it that way. Because like you have the Tower reverse for the end of the year in love. Okay, so for the first 3 months, we have Judgment in your finances and your work. Guys, have some of you guys like maybe, facing some consequences over something, You may just have some really radical changes going on in the first 3 months. So if some of you guys have been avoiding the inevitable, some of you guys might end up getting laid off or, having to face something financially that you might have been hoping wasn't going to happen. Now, the one nice thing about the Judgment card is there is that resurrection right there, see? So some of you might actually get a resurrection in a way of something that you didn't think was going to work out. You know, you may end up going back to an old job or something. For your personal life, we have the Ace of Wands reversed. Now, I think someone else had gotten this. And it is so funny because if I start looking around, I'll see so many of the same cards. And I freaked out at how many Cancer and Scorpio got that were the same. And I had to go back and replay it. And I knew I shuffled between each reading. And I shuffled and shuffled like several times as I was pulling Scorpios. But I still freaked out. Like you can see me like pausing in freak out mode. Because I'm just like, there's just no way. There's so many. But there's a lot of the same ones at you too. And I think that's because even though there's this whole massive deck. And I'm doing this like 2 days later. Some of these same cards. These same things coming out. Because I guess everyone's going to be going through very similar situations, you know, very similar energies and karmic things they're facing. I've heard with Saturn entering Pisces, people are going to be facing a lot of like spiritual stuff and like trauma they've been avoiding. And that happens in March. Yeah, March 7th, I think. Okay, so Ace of Wands reverse in your personal life. So usually upright is going to be some like, you know, really passionate new beginning. With it reversed and having judgment work, you might actually have a very dispassionate ending. Or you may have actually feel like stumped, like you just can't find your passion. You can't find your, you know, motivation for why you get up every day. You know, you may just have a kind of like, not necessarily depression, but like a, you know, where you feel like you're on autopilot and you just are not in it. Because even in your love life, we have the Knight of Pentacles reversed, which to me, that again, that kind of reiterates this kind of like just not in it. You know, if you are in a love life situation, it's probably not moving very, because this is slow. This is like a dead stop, you know? I mean, it's like either if you were reaching out, like say you're trying to start a new love relationship, you probably don't even have the energy to do it. And then if you were expecting it, it's not coming. They're not showing any passion or energy either, but you don't really seem to be reciprocating because you don't have the vibration for it either. So having judgment work, that might be one of your main focuses in your finances or your work. You may be kind of focusing on just how to pay the bills, but in your personal life, it sounds really dull and kind of blah, you know? And then in your second 3 months in work, you have the Seven of Wands reversed, which is also not very good. That can be anxiety, it can be struggle, but not having the advantage that you would if it was upright. You know, having judgment and then that reverse, some of you might have actually been taking some shortcuts in work or not putting in the effort you were supposed to, or you know, not showing up, or if it's just finances and not your work, you may not have been budgeting your money and you're having to actually face the consequences for all that. Like say this year you just put like several $100s or $1,000 on credit cards for Christmas and you're thinking, YOLO, you know, I only live once. And then like next year it's like, it's hitting you, you know? And then, let me see, in your personal life, you have the King of Wands reversed. And that is like not being like very loyal or faithful or kind of like pushy, bossy, like, what would you call it? Snappy with people. You might be really, really pissy because of the fact that you are having issues with your finances or your work. And then in your love life, you have the Seven of Cups reversed, which is like, that is not having all the options you thought you would. You know, you probably at one point were thinking, oh, I've got so many options, I can just do whatever I want. And now you're thinking, oh my God, they've disappeared one by one. I don't have anywhere to turn. And this is not working out the way I wanted. Ooh, Libra, I'm kind of freaking out. This is the saddest one I've seen so far. Like, I have not seen anyone that's had really negative. I do see some good coming, so let's not give up hope here. Because you have the 10 of Pentacles in your personal life the next half of the year, or like the next 3 months. So, you know, it looks like the first half of your year is really, really not working out for you. And then in work, you even have the Sun reversed. So I'm thinking like you may even be trying to find a new job or make more money somewhere else, and you're still not panning out. It's just not what you thought it was going to be. But then you have the Ten of Pentacles in your personal life. What is that? What is that? Oh, okay. Okay. We're getting there. Okay. Because this is like, I mean, one of the best cards you could ask for. I would say this one, and then the Ten of Cups is like some of the best, you know, you can get. And I have a feeling that, okay, if you're going through all of this the first half of the year, it's probably going to teach you some very valuable lessons about yourself, about your priorities, about what you really want in life, what you want to be grateful for. So it sounds negative, but at the same time, like I said, you know, like with Saturn entering Pisces, that's on March 3rd. So that's before the first 3 months even end. You know what I'm saying? And so as it is, you're going to feel it before it even moves in there. I mean, you're going to be feeling it. And so there's probably a lot of buried issues that you might have been avoiding. A lot of times air energy avoids emotional issues. All of us can be guilty. I have a Libra stellium and an Aquarius stellium. You know, Geminis can do it too. I would say air is probably the worst about procrastinating, facing emotional stuff that is very difficult to process. So most likely you gotta go from not wanting to process it the first 3 months. By the time Saturn is really in Pisces good, you're having to actually start the process. And I think it's almost like, what do you call it? You know, like, have you ever, I don't know, some of you probably haven't, but some of you might have, if you ever have heard of like herxing, like if you have any autoimmune disease or any kind of toxic stuff, it's like to feel better, you almost have to feel worse, and you have to detox all of this baggage inside of you. Like if you have like PTSD or trauma, sometimes it really helps if you're doing a lot of intense yoga while you're going to therapy, because it's not just your mind, your body actually stores toxins in all the joints and muscles and marrow from the traumas. And so, you know, if you're starting to face all that and you're still not getting that great stuff in work yet or finances yet, I think by the time this Ten of Pentacles comes in the third 3 months, the beginning of the second half of the year, I think it's like almost like when everything is more beautiful after a storm. You know, when I lived in Houston, after Hurricane Ike came, because everyone makes fun of us on the West Coast. They're always like, ugh, you live on the dirty Gulf Coast. And they laugh at us, right? Because they have pretty water. And it was so weird because, yes, I was known for really filthy Gulf water. I mean, I was born in southern Louisiana, and I, you know, grew up eating like crawfish and frog legs in a high chair, you know, Cajun food. And we were used to the dirty, mucky swamps. And Galveston was no different. It was mucky most of the time. Every so often it's clear water. But after Hurricane Ike came and destroyed everything, destroyed my family's home and so many people's homes and left this disaster for like 2 or 3 years after, the water was like crystal clear, bluish green, like 90% more than it was before. It was almost like you needed that storm to wash away and clear all the gunk out, and it was cleaner after. And I think after you clear all that gunk out and detox emotionally, spiritually, you get this, because this is in your personal life. So you probably learn what real value is. You see what I'm saying? So this may not have to do with actual money. It could be. You could inherit money. You could win money somehow, you know, who knows? But it could also be that you actually find value in life itself. You love yourself, you value the most important relationships in your life, and you start to find lust for life again. You start to have passion for life again. And then in love life, you do have the Two of Swords reversed, which can actually be a sort of good thing too, because it means the blinders have fallen off. Because here it can be kind of like a stalemate, kind of butting heads with someone, not seeing eye to eye, or feeling like you're deceived, like there's people talking about you behind your back and you need to make a decision, but you can't see well enough to do it. But then reverse, you know, it's like the blindfold is going to fall off and you're able to make a decision. And then in work for the last 3 months, it's like you're getting saved at the very end. You have the Page of Wands. So this is obviously like a new job, a new career, a new opportunity, something that you didn't expect. It comes around at the very last 3 months, which is really, really wonderful after seeing this long year. And then you have the Chariot in your personal life. So you might actually end up moving for this new job. You know, if you don't end up moving physically for this new job, you might actually, or new financial situation, you might actually be moving like in your life more. Like say you felt stuck or stagnant and you felt like you weren't getting anywhere. That Chariot can be actual movement in just your everyday life. Like all of a sudden you're going out more, you're seeing people more, you're actively engaged in the world around you again. And then in your love life, you have the Tower reversed. Now that sounds scary, but at the same time, the Tower reverse is usually actually not as bad as the upright. It can be worse sometimes, but a lot of times it's where it's more internal. It's not necessarily an external Tower moment. It can be you actually like facing stuff in your mind that you weren't willing to face before. It can be something that I know I got it reversed when I did my personal reading somewhere. And I remember thinking like, oh, you know, but when I did, so I did research on it because I'm such a super researcher. I have Virgo moon, Scorpio rising. So even if I have done these cards and gone with my intuition a million times and read all the meanings a million times, I will still do more research just to pick at it, you know, just to see all of the angles. And I realized that it really does make a lot of sense that sometimes our Tower moments are self-created and it's internally, and it's not really a bad thing. Sometimes it's because we're seeing things different for the first time, or we're realizing we have a completely different shift in dynamics and how we view things, whether it's spiritually, religiously, politically, in love life, work, whatever. And when that that kind of tower crumbles inside, you know, it can be intense because we're literally cleaning up and moving out an old belief system or an old thought pattern, and we're rebuilding it into something new, you know. So if your blinders fell off about something, because if you look in your love life, you have the Knight of Pentacles reversed and the Seven of Cups reversed, then the Two of Swords reversed and the Tower reversed. It looks to me like you really were not able to make anything work in the first of the year, or you just weren't willing to try. And then maybe you thought you could make it work with different things and none of it panned out. And then when the blinders fell off, you probably realized something about yourself, that you probably realized that whatever it is something you need to work on and completely remodel for you to be able to be open to receiving a healthy love relationship. Or if you're already in a love relationship, probably realizing that things weren't what you thought it was. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. We do have Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So I do feel like for the theme of this year, you will have a brand new opportunity financially. It's just that it's kind of like you're going through judgment and then kind of a breakdown and then a kind of a stalling. And then that's when you get this new opportunity. And this can be kind of like when you get the page of, what I like about the Page of Wands is he has this, if you look at the meaning in the actual booklet thing and stuff, he has this little staff and it's sprouting green on it, okay? And there's importance of that because if you look, he's got this arid desert all behind him, okay? And he's somehow able to make growth out of nothing in a barren land. So it actually could be you guys starting your own business, or you somehow managed to create something beautiful when no one else could, you know. You might come up with a new business and say, if things do get crazy in the world around us, for you to be able to start something new in a chaotic environment is just, it probably is very life altering for you. And you could also end up having a brand new move, and you may have been living in a very barren area that didn't have a lot of job opportunities, or you just felt physically, spiritually, emotionally drained where you were living. And then when you move, it's kind of like you're actually creating that new life and that new growth for you. Who knows? I do want to pull a Druid Animal Oracle card. so that we can kind of see what animal spirit, animal energy would be good for you guys to work with this year. And then we will pull one Akashic Tarot, which can actually also give you some really good advice and kind of show us the theme for the year. Because, yeah, trust me, my personal reading wasn't super beautiful either. But when I actually, like, looked into it more, I realized it is beautiful. It's just we do have a lot of intense stuff to face. You know, life isn't meant for us to be, like, floating around in a swimming pool all day and not having to learn our life lessons, right? Even though we kind of wish we could. I don't know about you, but I do. I'm like, I've gone through enough. Can I just have the fun part now? And then just wait until you get your next Saturn return. Gosh, some of y'all might be or already gone through it, but I haven't yet. And I've noticed how many people become humble after that second Saturn return, man. It's like weird, but they're completely different after the second one. Okay, so we've got the salmon for you guys. And the salmon is kind of asking you to learn how to not only play again, but also to get to your roots, you know, like where you were born or even where your ancestry is from. You know, maybe that will be of value for you by the time this year's over. You might find your value in yourself more because you do, work on your like family tree, your ancestry, your bloodline, or it can be actually deciding to consciously break generational curses or habits or, you know, dysfunction. And this is actually, the salmon has to swim upriver to the home where they are from, right, to mate. And they do the salmon salt, which we call somersault, where they kind of jump up backwards and go forward that way to save energy and to keep themselves from being beat up so much going upstream. So that's how they kind of learn to play as they work. And it's so crazy that I, for some reason, mentioned to you guys about the hurricane, because when we evacuated for Hurricane Ike, we left to Mississippi because we had nowhere else to evacuate, you know, and we had family in Mississippi and stayed there with my grandparents. And I decided to like work on my family tree because my grandmother I always was interested, but I never had time to go back and see them since I had little kids and I was always in a relationship and they never want to travel and blah, blah. So I went to their library, and this was, you know, what, in 2007, I guess, maybe 2008, I can't remember. And had to copy like all the, I think it was 2008, yeah, because my son was born in 2007. So I went to the library and copied all of the paper she had collected. And my grandmother actually traveled to different libraries and everything and collected a lot of it the old-fashioned way. And when I actually saw my family tree, I really saw something special in that. Maybe I thought to myself, this is what I thought about, because I was kind of one of those kids that just, you know, went through a lot of depression and stuff when I was in like junior high and early high school, and even some in my early 20s before I had kids. And, you know, some of it was because I had been abused, so obviously it can cause depression. But, you know, I just saw so many kids suffering from this, and I realized, like, if we knew where we came from and how hard our ancestors worked to get where we are today, we would have so much more pride in ourselves, and, you know, we would value ourselves more. And when I saw where my family came from and how hard they worked to get me where I was, you know, like, my grandfather was the first person on either side of my family that ever graduated college. I mean, well, his dad did too, but that's like it. Like, none of my other grandparents graduated even high school because they all dropped out by the age of 14 to work. You know, my grandmother was German. She lived in Mobile, Alabama, and she literally lived in the projects. That's what they called it, you know. And of course, they were sort of looked down on being German during World War II when she was a kid. My grandfather's older than her, so he was in the war. But, you know, they lived in the projects, and she was already a waitress by the time she was 14. My mom's parents had dropped out of school, and by the time they were 14, they were both working in factories, 12, 14 hours a day. And so, that's just what I knew, but looking at my ancestors all the way back, and all that they went through, I don't know, it changed me a lot. I had so much more value in who I was and where I came from. And I'm sitting here seeing that salmon with you and mentioning the storm and everything else. That might be part of your 10 of Pentacles. You know what I'm saying? Because when you actually begin to value yourself and where you come from and everything, it may change a lot in your perspective. You may just need to go home. I don't know. But I think that something about your roots and something about learning how to play again, where you're from, your hometown or your bloodline, your family tree, something should probably help you get through the year. Now we got, I think someone else got this too. And I shuffle and shuffle and shuffle. And I shuffle before I start too. Okay. I know you might have to watch your Astro macros. Usually if you watch more than one, you might have to fast forward through the beginning, because some of them I do get long-winded, but that's because I really wanted to reiterate to people how crazy cosmically the weather is, Okay, let's see. God, I gotta hurry up. It's getting long. Okay. So, reversed. If there are legal dealings, someone else had this, I know. At issue, this card reversed could show a broken contract or a failed legal transfer. Be cautious with professionals who care for your investments and other things you value at this time. While they may not be seeking to do you harm, they could be more neglectful than they should be. As significant as legal matters may seem, there is an even more important reference to you karmically. With the card reversed, the Ark of the Covenant is toppled. Let's see. And you have broken your contract with your higher self. Perhaps you've avoided your karmic work and put your higher purposes aside because you're too busy, or it's too hard. Or you have knowingly chosen to be directed by your fears and emotional needs instead of what's best for you. In either event, it's time to wake up and renew your covenant, not just in word, but in deed. Your life will simply not work until you do. Man, guys, that matches this reading dead on. And I know that might not be something you guys want to hear, but you'll be forced to face it this year, whether you want to hear it or not. This is definitely trying to tell you guys that you're going to have to face your karma. And karma doesn't mean you did anything bad. I mean, we've all messed up, but a lot of times it's just, like I said, the emotional stuff that you might have been avoiding facing. When Saturn enters Pisces, that is one thing I forgot to tell y'all that I did go in more detail in the other ones, is you really probably should go Astro Seek. You can do your transits there, or you can go find an astrologer, or sometimes you can just Google articles on, Saturn enters Pisces 2023, how it affects different houses, or how it affects Libra, to find out what house it falls in for you and see where it's going to affect you specifically. But overall, with it being in Pisces, it's going to pull some shit up, guys. Some deep, deep shit that you probably thought you could just coast over. And it looks, like I said, it looks like first you kind of almost enter the year not really very enthused about much. Then it goes into where you're kind of like, the King of Wands reversed, that is some, and then the Seven of Wands reversed, come on, that sounds like some very imbalanced anxiety or depression or something, okay? And, but then the second half of the year, things start to look brighter and brighter and brighter. And so I feel like you will do that work, and that way you can get back in touch with your higher self and your purpose, because you are here for a reason. This is not some accident. You're here for a purpose. You serve a purpose. You have to find out why you're here. And don't forget, having a purpose doesn't mean you have to sit here and wreck your brain trying to find the perfect job or the perfect meaning to life. If you just stay in tune with being true to yourself, your higher self, you have to be guided step by step, day by day, baby step by baby step, because a lot of the things that we think are important are not when you die and go to heaven or whatever, the things that spirit values the most, you can go watch a lot of NDE experiences, like near-death experiences. It's not the jobs or anything. Oh, it's gonna stop. Okay, well, I'm just gonna tell you guys, I love y'all and I bless you. I'll write a note in the thing.